Alright guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for watching this video. Today I am doing a full face of Chantecaille. I am only missing concealer and lip liner, but everything else is a full face. But I love Chantecaille. I feel like it is a brand that not enough people talk about. It is not as hyped as some other brands in the beauty community. I know they don't really send out PR, so that could be a reason, but it is an amazing luxury beauty brand that I want to have more attention set to it because their products are just so luxurious. They're so beautiful. They are worth the investment. They have gorgeous packaging. Not only are they a cruelty-free brand, but they give back to the charities, which I think is amazing. Like these eyeshadows, they did give back a portion of proceeds. So I think that is amazing for companies to give back to our community. And that's a really important part of Chantecaille. I really admire them as a brand. And like I said, the products don't disappoint. When you get them, the packaging is on point. The product inside, which is the most important part, of course, really do not disappoint. I have yet to be underwhelmed or unexcited or even have these products not be in a favorite. They pretty much come in at my top favorites for a luxury beauty brand. So I really hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know what your favorite Chantecaille products are because I would love to check out more from this brand. I'm just really impressed by them thus far and can't wait for more releases. Let's get into the video. I am obviously creating this look for you. I would definitely say it's more of an evening look because I am using the Luminescent eye shades, which are a bit more on the shimmery, intense side. They have a little bit of glitter and they just do very beautiful, sophisticated glam, which I am a fan of. So if you want to see how I got this look here and me talking about my favorite Chantecaille products and what I would invest in if you are just starting your Chantecaille collection, please just keep watching. And before actually we get into the video, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, share it, and let's just get straight into this video. Alright, so I'm very excited for this full face of Chantecaille. The first thing I'm going to do, so I only own a few shadows from Chantecaille, and I don't actually own any matte shades. So I'm going to start out with this bronzer here. This is one of my favorite bronzers. I'll get more into this bronzer when we go into the face, but this is really nice for just an everyday transition shade. I'm going to take my Sonia G Blender Pro brush. I'm just going to pick up some of that bronzer, tap off the excess, and like I said, I'm just going to use this as the transition. So I'm just applying this kind of to the outer corner of my eye first, and then blending it into the crease when I have a little less product. And then I'm also going to take whatever is left over and run it all over the eyelid, just kind of as a base. This is such a perfect tone for the eye. Again, it's gonna kind of make everything a little monochromatic because I am going to use this on the face, and it just adds as a, or it just acts as a really nice base for the shimmer shades that I'm going to be using. Next, I'm gonna take one of my favorite products that Chantecaille makes. This is the Luminescent eye shades. This is the shade Lion. I also have the shade Giraffe here. This is just what I brought with me. You can clearly tell that I love this because I have hit pan on it. I just think that these are so gorgeous on the eyes. It adds such a beautiful reflection. It definitely has sparkle to it, so if you don't like sparkle, you probably won't like this. I definitely suggest doing eyes first when you work with this product, just because there is a little bit of fallout. You'll definitely get less fallout if you use these wet though. So to start, I just sprayed my brush with a little bit of MAC Fix Plus because I like how these apply on the eye wet. It just gives, oh, just such a beautiful look. They go on a little more pigmented, and like I said, they don't have as much fallout. And I feel like they don't look, not that these are chunky on the eye, but they're less, you get less of that like chunky glitter effect. Again, I don't want to say they're chunky because I don't feel that these are. They're definitely less glittery than the Hourglass Scattered Lights or Marc Jacobs, anything like that. It just gives this beautiful reflection. Definitely one of my top favorite shades, and I think this is so beautiful for an evening eye look. So there we have Lying on the Eyes. It is the perfect bronze shade. It's not too warm, it's not too cool. It's pretty much a perfect neutral, maybe leaning a little bit on the warm side. And like I said, you could go in with a dry brush or your fingers and you can get more of that sparkle effect. I sometimes like to do that after the effect just to add a little bit more elegance. I don't know. I just think this eyeshadow is just stunning. So I've been waiting for this video to use this shade in particular, but I picked up the shade Giraffe. So it's just this beautiful kind of shimmering brown bronze shade, definitely more on the deeper side. So I thought I would add this to the outer corner just to add a little bit of dimension. I just thought these would pair really well together, obviously. And originally these were listed as limited edition, but if you actually look on the Chantecaille website, the limited edition sign is gone. So I'm wondering if, because these were such a big hit, they're just making this a permanent item. So it's definitely adding a little bit of smokiness to the look, but it's not too much. It just adds a bit more drama. And this one isn't overly sparkly or anything like that either. I think it's less intense than the lion shade, but that could also be because I'm using a blending brush. I'm just such a big fan of these eyeshadows. I know they're expensive, but these are something that I pull out when I want to feel elegant and I just want to feel, I don't know, pretty and good. I like using luxury items for that purpose. Now I don't own any Chantecaille eyeliners, so I think I'm just going to go in with the Giraffe shade again, and I'm just going to take this on a little smudge brush. This is Wayne Goss 07, and just smudge that along the upper lash line, just to get a bit of depth on the upper lash line. If you feel like you lost a little bit of the gold with all the blending and adding that smoky liner, I just want to take a little bit of this on my fingertips and I'm just going to press that together. Sometimes I find if you press the shadow together in between your fingers, you don't get as much of that glitter effect on the eye, and I like things that are a bit more shimmery, less glittery, and I'm just pressing this on the center to get that pop to the center of my eye, which I think is pretty. Moving on to the lower lash line, I'm literally just going to mix the two back and forth together just to add a little bit of sheen. And again, going for that more elegant evening look and just running this along. Oh, wow, these are gorgeous mixed together. I feel like, well, I know that I like the lion shade as a one and done eyeshadow look, so I just pop that on, can apply mascara, but these two mixed together would be really pretty too if you just want a super quick going out look. The eyes are finished, and from here I'm just going to go ahead and apply mascara. I actually don't own the Chantecaille mascara just because I believe it's like is it $92 or something like that, $80 in Canada, and I just can't do that to myself when mascaras, I run through them so quickly. But if you do love that mascara, maybe I will pick it up because I've heard great things. But I just wanted to show you quickly two swatches of the Giraffe here, which is the deeper brown. Still kind of like a golden bronze color, but definitely deeper than the lion shade is, which is just my perfect bronze shade. It definitely has a bit more glitter to it than the deeper shade, but these are just stunning. Highly recommend if you haven't tried these out. Again, I know they're expensive, but I just feel so luxe whenever I wear them. So I will be back and we can finish off the full face of Chantecaille, and I'll tell you about some of my favorite face products. All right, so I've gone ahead and applied mascara. I did want to mention one thing about the eyeshadows. I think my favorite look I've created with those shadows, because they are obviously on the shimmery, more intense side. I really like pairing them with something like the Victoria Beckham. This is the Tweed Eye palette, just using this as a transition shade. Just if you wanted to go for something maybe a little more elegant and special, this is a really nice transition shade to use instead of just using a bronzer. So that's something else I've been liking. But I don't have a primer from Chantecaille, so I just use my Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream because I am so dry right now. I actually don't own the concealer from Chantecaille either. I have heard good things, so I am interested. If you guys have tried that out, please let me know. I think the closest thing that is similar to the Chantecaille would be the Sisley. This is the Stylo Lumiere. It's a really light coverage concealer basically, so I'm just gonna go ahead and apply a little bit under my eyes. Yeah, so this is a very sheer coverage, but it looks really pretty on the under eyes. And then I like to apply a little to the outside corner where I'm dark. And then I'm just gonna take my beauty blender and blend that in. I like this because my under eyes are super dry right now, so it looks nice and, well, I wouldn't say it looks hydrated on my under eyes, but it definitely doesn't look dry under there, which is hard to achieve with concealers. This is really good for the warmer months coming up too, because again, it is so light coverage, so it's not going to settle and crease throughout the day. It just remains really lightweight. Next up is the Chantecaille Radiance Gel Bronzer. So I mentioned this in my last favorites video, and I will say this is a little tricky to work with. So my favorite way I found to apply it is just taking it either on the palm of my hand, or right now I'm going to use a little palette. And from here, I take a small amount and just apply it on kind of a foundation brush. This is the It Cosmetics one. And then I just go around in all my bronzing areas basically. So the reason why I prefer to wear this under foundation is I actually just like to wear my cream bronzers underneath foundation, as I feel it gives a more natural look to the skin. And then I go in with less foundation. So it's just a way to kind of get away with less foundation, which means less coverage on your skin. And another reason is this is very intense. You probably can't tell because I shear it out quite a bit, but if you are a beginner and you're using this product, you might find it too intense. It is quite dark and very pigmented, so that can be intimidating. Another way I really like to use this product is to mix it in with foundations that are perhaps a little too light for me. What this does is it shears out my foundation a tiny little bit because this doesn't have coverage to it. It just adds a bronze effect. And it also warms up my foundation a little bit. So that does help if I have a foundation that's a little too light. And then after I press this in with my brush, I just go around the edges to make sure it is soft. But again, we'll soften it up when we go over top of foundation. Another thing I really love about this gel bronzer is that it is super long wearing. So especially in the spring and summer months when I usually want to just wear cream products and kind of stray away from powder, that is very beneficial to a product like this. It just really melds into the skin really beautifully. So I have been enjoying this. If you have had issues with this one, I recommend trying it underneath your foundation. And I swear it does work and it will blend into the skin a lot easier. Moving straight to foundation, this is the Chantecaille Future Skin Oil-Free Gel Foundation, and I wear the shade Cream. I have really been loving this foundation. They market it as a more, I think they market it as a light to medium coverage, which I would agree, or medium to full coverage, they market it as. It's definitely more on the light side. I would not recommend this if you want to build it to full coverage. I think it shines the best at its either light or medium, I would say maximum for sure. But it is a really nice foundation. I like that it, well, I don't actually like that it comes in this jar, but I like that it is oil-free because oils tend to be a little finicky on my skin. I do have more sensitive skin and that can break me out. There's a tiny bit of fragrance in here. It's very subtle, but do be aware of that if you don't like fragrance in foundation. In comparison to like the Chanel Sublimage, because I know the packaging is very similar, I would say it is more dewy than that one. The coverage is pretty similar, and in comparison to the Clé de Peau, the foundation, this is definitely less dewy, but the finish it gives on the skin is really nice. Again, since this is so lightweight, I feel like it's the perfect kind of tint for the summertime. When the warmer weather comes about and you just want something really lightweight on your skin, because this definitely feels very light. Another thing I really love about this foundation is that even though it's kind of more on the, I wouldn't call this a dewy foundation, but it's definitely more on the satin side, it's very skin-like and it wears a really long time for me. I might have to finish up by powdering just in the center of my face if I really feel like it, if it's been a really long day. But it really reminds me of the Surratt Dewdrop foundation if you have tried that one. It kind of has these light reflecting properties to it, which kind of helps trick the eye, I feel like. So it almost, I don't want to say it blurs the appearance of pores, but it lays over them beautifully. It doesn't emphasize them in any way, so I feel like I do not need a pore blurring primer underneath this one. It's just really nice. Again, I just like how it has those light reflecting properties. It really does a good job of kind of hiding the appearance of pores a little bit. It doesn't emphasize texture in any way. Foundation is on and I just love how plump the skin looks. It just gives your skin such a beautiful, healthy glow. It never looks too matte. It doesn't sit in any lines or anything like that. It just looks so fresh and beautiful. So again, if you're looking for full coverage, not for you. But if you're looking for something that's very plump and brings life and a glow to your skin, that for me is long wearing, oil-free, looks fresh, light to medium coverage, like I said, beautiful foundation. So before I go in with powder, I'm going to take the Chantecaille, obviously, Liquid Lumiere. This is an anti-aging face illuminator in the shade Brilliance, which is kind of like a golden champagne shade. Let me see if I can swatch it there. It's a beautiful illuminator. It's not too, like there's no glitter chunks in it in the slightest. It just gives a gorgeous sheen. And my favorite thing about this is that it is multi-purpose along with the bronzer. So those products I love because again, I like multi-purpose products. This you can mix in with your foundation, especially if you're using something that's more on the matte side. It will just give a very beautiful glow to the skin. You can mix it in with a heavy-duty concealer to kind of tone that down as well. That's not something I would do every day. That would be more for a special occasion. Just add that really pretty candlelit effect to your skin. It just kind of adds this really nice creaminess, but it doesn't affect the longevity of foundation. I have found it's just really nice. So it looks very skin-like too. If you're looking for a highlighter that does not look powdery at all, that doesn't emphasize texture, that just looks like your skin but gives an illumination. Like I said, you can't see any product at all sitting on the skin. This is definitely something I would go for. And this as well, similar to the gel bronzer, it does set down, doesn't budge, so this is perfect for spring and summer months as well, especially outdoors when you don't want to see product on your skin. Now taking the Chantecaille loose powder, this is in the shade Light, and I hate the packaging on this so much. I really wish they would change it. I just tapped out the creases under my eyes, and now I'm going to set that ever so slightly. So I do like this powder for my face as well, but my favorite way to wear this is under the eyes. It has the softest sheen to it. It's definitely less of a sheen than the Hourglass powders or the Hourglass loose powder as well. There isn't quite as much of a sheen to it, but it sets down the skin. It actually starts off looking a little more on the matte side, but it doesn't look powdery in any way, so don't get that wrong. It just sets the skin beautifully, but as the day goes on, it really melts into the skin and just gives a very skin-like effect. You kind of get that natural skin, a bit of a sheen as the day goes on. It just really warms up to the skin really nice. And again, it wears all day. It never looks dry under my eyes throughout the day. I have that problem with loose powder sometimes where it just looks more drying or textured in areas where I've applied the loose powder. This doesn't look heavy at all. It's a really good one. I'm going to quickly finish off the under eyes. I'm going to go back into that powder bronzer and just take a little bit and run it across the lower lash line, just to add a little bit of matte, I guess a matte shade to the lower lash line. This does have a soft sheen, but there's no shimmer or sparkle. And then I'm just going to take the Chantecaille highlighter and I'm going to add that as an inner corner highlight. Just press it on and wrap it. I'm going to actually bring it a little bit into the inner corner here. I went ahead and applied a little bit of lower lash mascara, and moving back to the face, I am going to take this limited edition Chantecaille Perfect Blur Finishing Powder. And this doesn't have a shade, it only comes in one shade, so that is a little bit unfortunate. They're not the best with their shade selection. And this can be used as a finishing powder too, but I'm just going to take a little bit on the Sonia G Face Pro brush and just set the areas where I don't want foundation to break up. And the beautiful thing about this powder is that it is so pore perfecting. Like you literally apply it and your pores and your texture is erased. It is so unique. Definitely reminds me of the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush powder in the effect it gives, but it even blurs more, which is shocking. And it's also not, I don't want to say that Charlotte Tilbury powder is heavy, but it's a little more powdery, so you can not over apply the powder, but it just, you definitely need a bit of a heavier hand to pick up this product. I hope Chantecaille makes this permanent because I really love it, and I would consider picking up another one just because I don't want to be without it for the effect it gives. But it's a really nice one and doesn't leave your skin looking powdery in the slightest. It just really blurs. That's the shade it is. So if you have the Sisley Blur Expert powder, this is lighter than that one. So again, definitely not universal. It would suit more light to medium skin tones. Now, if you guys have been watching my channel for a while now, since the beginning, I have talked so much about this, I have to be careful because it's broken, the Chantecaille La Serena highlighter and bronzer duo. I absolutely loved this. And then Chantecaille released Serena and Goa, I think was the other shade, which is more red toned. So Serena is in this, and I was debating between picking up a backup of this or the Goa. I ultimately decided on this because I just think this tone is absolutely perfect for me. I'll give you a swatch, of course. So it is a beautiful warm brown, but it's not too warm. It doesn't lean orange at all, and it just has a very soft sheen to it. I love it. So if you've heard me talk about this bronzer before, I love it because it is a gel to powder texture. So it's not powdery. When you pick it up on your brush, you have to pick up quite a bit of product to get it to show up. And I know that that doesn't seem appealing for a lot of people, but the beautiful effect about these powders is that it gives you such a skin-like appearance. It it applies like a cream, but it dries down to like a powder finish. Never looks powdery. It never looks overdone. It does have that soft sheen to it, no shimmer particles or anything like that. And I just think it looks so awesome on the skin. Another really cool thing about these gel textures is that they're so long wearing. Definitely one of the longer wearing products I've ever tried. Very similar to like the Sisley bronzer, Tom Ford Ultimate bronzer. They're pretty much a waterproof powder product, which I like. Again, perfect for the spring and summer months when you want your makeup to be a little longer wearing, but also does not look like makeup on the skin. I want to talk about some of Chantecaille's blushes. I am a blush fiend. I just love blush because it gives you such a youthful effect. It brings that glow back to your skin, and again, it just makes you look younger because it adds that youthful effect. So they have the Chantecaille Cheek Gelée, which is a hydrating gel cream blush. This is the shade Lively, so it's more on that coral side, and I just love these blushes. I also have the pink one. I totally forget the name. I think it's Happy. But these are a wonderful gel texture. Sisley's products are pretty much a gel texture. And like I said, the same with the gel bronzer and the illuminator. These apply very creamy, very easy to blend out, but it dries down and it stays put. It almost acts as a stain. So you could wear this on your lips as well. This is just such a beautiful coral. And this has a very slight sheen to it. I love to wear these. I did not apply it today under my powder products, so I'm not going to do that just because it might be, probably wouldn't be much because it is so sheer, but it's just perfect. Really, really highly recommend these. Like I said, they're pretty much waterproof. They just stay on your skin all day long once they're set down. So I'd highly recommend checking these out. Another reason why I love those products is because they're so easy to travel with. They're very compact, they're small, they fit well in your travel bag, and they're so easy to apply. So I just highly recommend them. But the product I'm going to be using today is the cheek shade in the shade Emotion. So this had a little bee imprint on it when it started out. It was a gold overspray. It pretty much came off the first time I used it. And this is just pretty much a perfect peachy shade that really brightens up the complexion. I like peach shades on my cheeks. It just goes with my skin tone and my hair color a little better. And I also like the way it brightens up my skin. I'm going to take a little bit of this on my Sonia G Designer Pro brush. So these are nicely pigmented. They're not overly pigmented, and so you don't have to be like super careful with product. They're a little more on the powdery side compared to the other powder products in Chantecaille's line. And the other thing that's different about this, I usually like a blush with a tiny bit of a sheen, but these are pretty much matte. I don't think I can detect any sheen in these. So if you're looking for a nice matte blush, a matte blush is nice because it's not going to emphasize texture at all. And I love how youthful this blush is. So yeah, I recommend these for sure. Now this next product is limited edition, but it is still available. This is the Eclat Brilliant Face Powder. This isn't a face powder. It is definitely a highlighter. One of my favorite, if not favorite, this and the Charlotte Tilbury Star Gold are my favorite. But this beautiful, it's like a peach gold champagne, and it is so reflective. Again, there are no glitter chunks at all, but you can see it's definitely intense and gives you a glow, but it's not something like that you can see from outer space that's so intense and glittery. It's a very sophisticated sheen, and it's gorgeous. So again, this product is a bit more on the pigmented side. It's definitely not a gel texture. It is a little bit, but it is a bit more powdery than say the bronzer is. Oh, do you see that glow? It's definitely intense, a little bit. It does go a long way, but it's not going to be overwhelming. It's not hard to blend out, and I like going in with a bit more of a dense brush because I really like blending highlights into my skin. So again, it's not too harsh. I like to get it right in there. So I'd say if you're looking for something a little more on the intense side, this is the way to go. But if you're looking for something more subtle, very skin-like, daily wear, then I would choose the Liquid Lumiere. And I also have to mention this packaging is just stunning. I think they did a really good job with this holiday release. I wish this was permanent as well. I do not own a Chantecaille lip liner, so I just quickly went in with my Chanel lip pencil in the shade Beige Natural 156. Quickly did a little lip outline. I am going to go in with this new lipstick from Chantecaille, obviously, and this is the Lip Veil in the shade Honey Pot. Now, the sad thing about this is that mine did come It came basically smashed up in here. I contacted Holt Renfrew. They don't have the best customer service. So basically I decided to just keep this. It looks a little grungy, but I'm just gonna go ahead and use this. And I'm just going to apply it all over the lips. So I like this formula because it is really hydrating. I kind of like to wipe it into my lips a little bit just because I do have drier lips, and then I kind of pat over everything to really make sure it's pressed into my lips and it's not sitting on top. But this, again, a very creamy formula. It's not as creamy and hydrating as the Rouge Coco glosses from Chanel, but I do like that it gives a subtle gloss effect. It's never drying on the lips. It doesn't feel dry in the slightest. And I feel like this is the perfect peachy pink nude. It's not too peach, it's not too pink, and I think it goes really well with this look. And it gives me enough color. It's not like a dead nude, and I'm just really impressed with this formula. If you're looking for a long wear lipstick, this is not it. This definitely fades as you're talking, as you're living your life, because it does have more of that sheen to it and it's a bit more hydrating. I don't mind applying a shade like this because it's easy to bring in your bag, it's easy to touch up, you don't have to worry about it looking sloppy or looking dry. And for a final touch on the lips, taking the Chantecaille, oh gosh, that's tiny writing, Brilliant Gloss. I picked up the shade Blythe, which is basically just a very light, it's like a ballet, no, yeah, ballet sheer pink. And it has a little gold glitter in there. Maybe not glitter is the right word, sparkle in there. So it just adds a gorgeous sheen onto the lips. And oh, it feels so hydrating. It's definitely one of the comfiest lip glosses I have ever experienced. Very similar to the Chanel. Oh, I just love the way it feels. So comfortable to apply throughout the day too. Very plump, and I really like this shade. It's very flattering over pretty much any sort of lipstick you want to wear it over. It will pale it down the slightest amount, but it's not a very pigmented lip gloss. Another formula I want to quickly compare this to is the Patrick Ta gloss. There's definitely not as much shimmer in this one as there is the Patrick Ta, but it's just as comfortable, it's just as gorgeous. Really, really enjoying these lip glosses. I want to pick up a few more definitely. To finish off this full face, taking the Chantecaille Eclat Dew face powder. This was, again, part of the holiday collection, and I like to use this as a buffing powder. I don't really like to set my makeup with this. If I was going to set anywhere, it'd probably be my under eyes, just because it adds a little bit of sheen, and I don't like a powder that's completely matte under my eyes. This is such a unique powder. When you feel it, it feels like an actual cream. It almost feels like a putty texture. And it just adds, like I said, a really nice sheen. It's not as sheeny. It's not as intense as like the Guerlain Meteorites. It just gives a very, again, pretty candlelit glow. I feel like that's something that Chantecaille is really good for, that candlelight, beautiful glow. And it doesn't look powdery on the skin, which I really like, especially for a finishing powder. You definitely do not want anything that is too heavy on the skin. And the Sonia G Face Pro is perfect to buff it in with. It's a really nice finishing touch, especially for an evening look. And it does perfect ever so slightly as well. It's definitely not as perfecting as the blurring powder, but it is a little bit, especially because I don't like to apply powder on the outskirts when I apply my powder products. All right, so that is the end of this video. I really hope you guys enjoyed this full face of Chantecaille. I definitely love this brand. I feel like it is not talked about enough, and I feel like it's definitely an underhyped brand. I pretty much love every single product. I actually don't think I dislike one product. I definitely have my favorites. I highly suggest you try out Chantecaille if you haven't already. It's definitely a luxury brand, but it's a luxury brand that I feel is worth the investment. So again, I hope you guys enjoyed this kind of more evening look. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Ring the bell, leave your comments down below, share if you want to share it. Let me know if there's any Chantecaille products you love that you want to see me try out, and I'll see you in my next video.